Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. Before we get started, I want it made absolutely clear in no uncertain terms that the following has not been corroborated by Disney, Electronic Arts, or any of their affiliates. I feel that in recent days I haven't been as transparent as I should have in delineating fact from conjecture, which has led to some issues. So I want to be 100% certain that you are all well aware going into this that this is considered at this point in time as a he said, she said style rumor, and that pending an official statement from those companies, it may or may not amount to anything, but it is the sort of thing that comes across as potentially reliable, and I did want to make you all at least aware of what may be happening. Now, this all comes from Jordan Mason over at Cinelinx, and as I'm sure you were all able to ascertain from the title and the thumbnail of this video, there is apparently talk that Disney may be considering ripping the license to create Star Wars video games out of the hands of EA and give it to another publisher. Now, this is all obviously in light of the recent and severe backlash that happened surrounding the pay-to-win star card and loot box monetization scheme that was attempted within Star Wars Battlefront 2 EA. And for those of you that are still asking why I specify the EA each and every time in such a completely annoying and frustrating way, it's for three reasons. First, because there was already a Star Wars Battlefront 2 that is still the superior game in my opinion. Second, because it's EA, therefore you know it's low effort swill. And third, because it does piss people off, and those that actually get offended over that deserve to be offended by it as often as humanly possible. I'm just an asshole that way, I suppose. I'm not a fan of people that defend the likes of EA over their predatory business practices. Defend them when they do something good for the gaming community, not when they try to fleece their customers. But to get back on topic, the article I'm referencing discusses how both Disney and Lucasfilm Limited are extremely displeased with Electronic Arts over the release of Star Wars Battlefront 2 EA, and how the controversy has since been managed, or more to the point, mismanaged. In the article, Mason wrote, "From what I've heard, Lucasfilm is upset as well and looking for other options. I've had a couple of sources reach out to me about the current state of Star Wars gaming. According to them, Disney and Lucasfilm Limited higher-ups pulled EA to the principal's office to talk about what's going wrong, which is what others have reported as well. More so, they've apparently reached out to both Ubisoft and Activision about developing Star Wars games." Now, as I said, this is a rumor, although Mason does state in the article that the people that brought Mason the information are sources that have proven to be trustworthy in the past. That said, the largest glaring issue is the idea of the contract that EA had signed with Disney for the Star Wars license. However, the article does cover that, and I have been able to verify that addendums within these contracts are fairly common that will allow the license holder to withdraw the license from the licensee if certain standards, conditions, or practices are not met. In this instance, if such an addendum exists within the contract between Disney and EA, Disney would be able to withdraw the license from EA to produce any new games. That's an important thing to remember, that concept of new games, and provide that license to someone else. And in that regard, it would be a fairly easy argument to make that Electronic Arts have not exactly been raising the bar in terms of quality and standards when it comes to their handling of the Star Wars IP. Oh, they can churn out a game with some extremely impressive graphics and some absolutely amazing sound design, but unfortunately the EA titles have really little to nothing else going for them. The first Star Wars Battlefront EA saw a huge number of game sales, but the rushed release, coupled with fundamental gameplay problems that did its best to generate a feeling of isolation within a multiplayer-only title, along with a glaring lack of content at release, saw concurrent player numbers plummet faster than a boulder in freefall. The second Star Wars Battlefront EA title was supposed to be EA's apology for the first game, promising all of the features that were supposed to be in the first game. What players got were a short, meaningless, and ultimately forgettable single-player game which typifies EA and EA DICE in regards to literally every other first-person shooter they've developed. And yes, that means Battlefield 1 as well, and also implemented an objectively pay-to-win loot box monetization scheme on top of it. With those two as prime examples, and with EA's slaughtering Visceral Games for the temerity of developing a single-player linear story experience that so many Star Wars fans actually want, it would stand to reason that Disney and Lucasfilm Limited would be second-guessing their decision to contract the IP's license to Electronic Arts. And yes, I know, I can already feel some of you cringing at the idea of Ubisoft or Activision getting their grubby mitts on the Star Wars IP. Trust me, I feel the same way, but look at the options when it comes to development companies and games publishers. Ubisoft is obviously going to be the more palatable of the two listed. I know some of you are going to ask, well, what about Bethesda? And I'm sorry, but I have no desire to see Fallout 5 new Star Wars. Bethesda has a very deserved reputation for buggy games that are, let's be honest, little more than reskins of previous games with new dialogue and steadily declining quality of content. In all actuality, no AAA will ever be a good decision, but those are the only ones with the resources and the manpower to even be considered by Disney. It's sort of like an American presidential election where the vast majority of the voters are not voting for their favorite candidate, they are voting against the candidate that they find more objectionable. It's the shiniest of two turds methodology, and this is what we're stuck with when it comes to the Star Wars IP. Of course, it may not even be that. It could very well be that this is little more than a tactic designed to scare Electronic Arts back into line. It is sort of an odd way to go about things, but then again, corporate America is so completely batshit crazy that it is a possibility. But as always, please do let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think this is a credible possibility, or is it all just a forlorn hope at this point? Also, if the IP were to be given to another publisher, which one do you think it should be? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time. If you like what I do on this channel and would like to see the channel go full-time, consider donating on Patreon or PayPal, as well as hitting that subscribe button and following me on social media. Links to everything are in the description down below.